All right, so hopefully you've seen the other part here, but this one is going to be 5 underrated teams. I am doing both videos for overrated and underrated before the season starts, before even the Hall of Fame game, which I believe is this week. I'm recording this on August 1st. I'm going to have them, again, both up before that game later this week. And we did 5 teams that are overrated, in my opinion, heading into this 2023-2024 season. And now we're going to do 5 teams that are underrated. And as you can see right here, the first one here is the Houston Texans. Now, why are they underrated? Because they have, or they're growing a good, decent roster. Not a great roster, a decent roster. I think they have a chance to, especially with an AFC South, which is just terrible. I think that they can make it a little bit closer. I do think the Jags are going to win that division, but maybe the Texans can finish in second this year. I think they have the potential. You got a bunch of people trading for a bunch of people, had a bunch of cap space, and it's just like, hey, I think they can do some good stuff this year. They're not going to be great. They're not going to be a playoff team, but everyone always forgets about the little guy. And the little guy here is getting a little bit bigger, and he's getting a little bit stronger. And I think that if you're not careful, they can come out of nowhere in maybe 3 to 4 years and suddenly are contending for a playoff spot. But they're on the rise. They're getting, if you can actually even have another good offseason like last year. They even, was it second and third pick? They traded up to get the third pick. Who's it? The Cardinals, right? I think it was the Cardinals in the third slot. They traded up with them, got 2 guys they wanted. And so, they're having a good draft, got a bunch of players coming in. Got another. I mean, we'll see how this coach is this year, but another good coach coming in. So I think that they can win more games. I think they have 4 wins. Was it 4 wins last year? I think there's potential to maybe have 6, possibly. We'll see. But I think that, if you're not careful, better watch out. They took the Chiefs to overtime last year. So they took the Super Bowl champs to overtime and almost beat them. So I think, again, if you're not careful, they're going to sneak up on you. Number 2, Seattle. I feel like I don't have to talk too much about Seattle because I feel like a lot of people understand that they're an average good team, I think is the best way to say it. And what I mean by that is they did a whole heck of a lot better last year than what anyone, and myself included, anyone thought they were going to do. They made it to the wild card. They put up a fight a bit against the Niners in the wild card, but they made it a heck of a lot farther than the Broncos. Everyone thought the Broncos were going to be in the playoffs this year. But it was ended up being the team that they traded Russell Wilson from. And I don't know if that was a whole lot of extra motivation in there, but I think, again, this year, Geno, another year under his belt as a starter, second year as a starter here in Seattle. You got some weapons. You have a decent, I think they had a decent draft class this year. Kenneth Walker, if he can stay healthy. Again, healthy. I talked about it in my last video. These teams have to stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, they can be good. If not, people are going to, they're going to look down on them and go like, yeah, man, I should not have trusted that team. But I think that Seattle is an underground team that not a lot of people are paying attention to right now. And I think that there's possibility that they could make the wild card once again. Do not be shocked if they're in the wild card again this year. Will they win it this year? Maybe. Who knows? But I think the ceiling for them is the divisional round. And I think that they're going to shock people and be good again. It wasn't a one-year wonder. I think Geno had a pretty good year. So I think, if you can get that defense a little bit better, you can possibly make it the divisional. But they're a team, just like the Texans, you got to watch out for because they're going to sneak up behind you and take a game from you. So next, the Jags. Now, why are they underrated? Because they're not a Chiefs. They're not a Bengals. They're not a Bills. They're not a top-tier team, but they're on the rise. And I think a lot of people discount that, what they've done last year, discount that they have Calvin Ridley this year. He's coming back from suspension, which is a whole other topic. There's a lot of branch topics you can go off, especially in that previous video I did for overrated. There's a whole lot of ways you can go. Good draft, building up a team. Doug Peterson, second year as coach. They made it to the divisional round with Doug Peterson in his first season with the Jags. T-Law, another year to advance and get better. I think this team is going to show people how good they are. A lot of people are not talking about them. I think it's possible 2-3 years down the line, we're talking about them as a contender with the Chiefs, with the Bengals, with the Bills, who are, Bills are kind of, I couldn't even put Bills in overrated because they're so stagnant. Like, they're probably not going to win the Super Bowl. Like, their window's slowly trying to close, but they're trying to push it open and close and open and close. But I think the Jags, again, second year with Doug Peterson, just won the Super Bowl in 2017, which again is almost a decade. We're we're almost a decade for that. I guess it's been what, 6 years? No, wait, 7 years, 6 years, 7 years ago that he just won a Super Bowl. So I mean, it's recent, but it's not super recent. But again, good coach, good quarterback, have a decent running game, good chunk of wide receivers there. A bunch of unknowns that just came out of nowhere and just, really impressed a lot of people, myself included. Defense, good, underrated defense. You got Josh Allen on that defense. Not the QB, Josh Allen. Obviously, again, because we had Josh Allen Bowl in, was it 2021? I think it was. But yeah, good defense. Got some stars in there. I think this is a team that is going to show that they're a little disrespected. I'm not saying they're going to be having 14 wins and competing with the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, but I think that they make the playoffs again, and I think this year things could go a little bit different. So we'll see. We will see. As I said multiple times in my overrated video, I'm recording this August 1st. I don't know what happens. Hindsight, when I'm recording my video in January, February, hindsight, I will know I was wrong or I will know I was right about that. So I have literally, I can't see the future. No one can see the future. So if they're good, they're good. And I was right. If they're bad, well, they fell off a cliff compared to last year. But I mean, they're in arguably the weakest division in the whole NFL, so they should win that division. Next, what is this? Hang on. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's one more. There's one more after this. Tampa. Why is Tampa here? Because they're gonna fall off a cliff. Okay, they're falling off a cliff, but they're gonna catch onto a branch halfway down. You still have Godwin and Evans. You still have a pretty decent defense. You have, I mean, we'll see how, Baker and that, the other, was it Kyle Trask, right? We'll see how they do. I have seen a bunch of, I saw, was it CBS NFL or whatever I saw a CBS thing purposely posting a bunch of drop passes for Baker, but they won't do that for Patty Mahomes. They won't do that for Joe Burrow. Well, I mean, he's hurt, but Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they won't do that for these top tier QBs, but they'll pick on the mid tier QBs. So justice for my mid tier QBs. I think Baker is going into a way better situation than where he was in Carolina. He beat the Raiders off of 2 days of practice with the Rams and, didn't look terrible the rest of that season. So I think they could be decent. It's between them and the Saints for the division. Well, I guess it could be literally any of the four. I guess the Panthers have the worst chance to win. Just because, again, you have a rookie QB coming in, and you have a team that just is not good. But you never know. Panthers can sneak in. I don't think they're gonna. I would say they have like maybe a 10% chance. I would give the Bucks and the Saints a 25% chance, and then I would give was it a 15% chance? No, I can't math. Whatever. I'm gonna give a quarter to the Bucks, a quarter to the Saints, and then, well, I guess that would mean that the Atlanta Falcons have a better chance. Okay, whatever. We'll give 65% in total between the Bucks and the Saints, and then the rest can go to the Falcons and the Panthers. So I mean, the Falcons maybe, I don't know, but I think it's mainly between the Saints and the Bucks here to win this division. I think that yes, all four teams are bad, but I think that, again, you have a better wide receiver core on the Bucks than you do with the Saints. Well, you have a worse defense. I guess I would probably argue a worse defense right now than the Saints. Yeah, and both are better than the other two. So I think that they can do well. Don't be shocked if they're, hosting a wild card game as the 4th seed. Don't be, because again, it's terrible. It's just flat out terrible, that division. So we'll see. But I think, people are going to sleep on the Bucks here. I think more people are probably going to pick the Saints to win the division than the Bucks. Maybe not. But for my personal belief, I feel like this is a good opportunity for Baker to prove himself. Way better opportunity than what he had in Carolina. So we'll see. I think, again, better wide receivers, better defense than what he had, his previous year. And I guess because you had Aaron Donald, but was he hurt at that point? I don't remember. Point is I think that, this is a team that I would not be shocked if they win their division as like 8-9, and they have the tiebreaker over the Saints. And like Saints are 8-9, but they just have tiebreakers over the Saints, and that's why they win the division. So, but again, 8-9. If the NFC is that bad, maybe the Saints still make the playoffs. I don't, I don't know. We'll see. As for the last one here, Titans. Now, I don't feel like anyone's talking about the Titans, and I'm not saying they're a good team, but I think they're a team you kind of have to watch out for a bit. I think you do. I think that there's possibility. You have DeAndre Hopkins, which I'm not saying Ryan Tannehill to the DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a killer. I'm not saying that at all. I just think that there is potential. You have Derrick Henry right now. Obviously, you have the whole running back thing, which again, we're not going to get into that. We're going to leave that to the side for now because it's not what this is. I think that you have to look at the Titans and go, you know what? They're better than the Colts. I think that they can split or even beat the Texans twice, and I think they can split with the Jags. And I'm not saying they're going to make the wild card, but I'm saying if that last slot is, 7 seed is like an 8-9 team, there's potential. They have potential on this team. You have Mike Vrabel is one of my favorite coaches right now. Of the 32, he's probably top 3 as one of my, he's up there. He's a great coach. I love him. I respect him a lot as a coach. I just think that, people see the Titans and they see a roster, which it's not that good. I agree. It's not that good. But I don't think that you can just look at that AFC South and go, okay, well, everyone else is good and they're bad. No. Texans are still a couple years away. They're still in a technical rebuild. Jags, I think, are your biggest threat, but you can beat them. I mean, it's not like you can't beat the Jags. It's not like the Jags, again, as I stated before, the Jags are not a Kansas City Chiefs, a Bengals type of team. They're not. So I think if you can go 1-1 with them, surprise them, shock them, you win a couple different games, you can maybe win that division. I think that, I have all 3 of them. Yeah, I have 3 teams from the AFC South in here. It's a bad division, but this is why they're underrated. It's because people are just looking at the whole division and going, all 4 teams suck. They're not winning the Super Bowl. Who cares? That's how people see it. If you're not winning the Super Bowl, you're a bad team, which isn't exactly the right thing to look at. But point is, I don't know. I think there's a possibility. Whoops, sorry. That they could sneak into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win a game, but they could host one. We'll see. We will see. So I think that, DeAndre Hopkins helps that team a lot, especially that wide receiver core helps them a lot. And the defense isn't spectacular, but when you're in the AFC South, you just got to win games, and you got to win games against your division. So you can do that. You're good to go. But I think people are just, they're already bypassing that signing of DeAndre Hopkins. And I guess there's good reason, because, again, if he can't stay healthy, then it's like, yeah, they're bad. But if he can stay healthy, that's a big threat. That's a huge threat for the Titans. So, I don't know. I think you got to look at that and just think, hey, anything is possible. Anything can happen. So, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. This one is, let's see, it's about 10 minutes shorter than the previous one, which is good because I just, ranted about the Jets for a while at the beginning of the last one. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Let me know down in the comments your 5 underrated teams heading into the season. I know I basically said the AFC South. They're underrated because everyone's just, they're not that good. Like, the Jags are the best team, and even they're not a top tier good team. They're closing in. They're closing in, but they're not there yet. So, like, subscribe, and share, and I'm out of here.